offensive line coach, Matt Moore. Questions for Coach Moore? Greg?
So Matt, lots going to be dependent upon your offensive line this year. You feel that they're ready for that?
Oh yeah, no doubt. It's anytime you coach a line, it's dependent on every year whether you got really good players or not. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I feel good about these guys where they are from a snap standpoint, from a mentality standpoint. We got to keep pushing them. We got to continue to get better, but I feel good where we're at right now.
The experience they have, just try to equate that into the benefits that provides with 2, 3, sometimes guys 4 years of experience.
Well, what you can do is you don't start at level 100 class. When they first come to class, we're now in 300 level classes with a lot of these guys. But we're talking about, instead of just, hey, what's the front, who's the mic? We're talking about linebacker leverage. We're talking about D-line stances. We're talking about having a heavy shade, having a light shade. So we try to continue, me and my assistants try to continue to build these guys that are on these 300 level classes and try to continue them to the master's level class, to help them, be as good a players they can be. So that's the benefit is you can get more advanced in your schemes and more advanced in your teaching.
You said Doug might be a better fit at tackle. What?
Who said that?
Neil.
Okay, Coach Rounded.
Yeah. So what's the big difference between guard and tackle? What makes
Well, his length and his athleticism at tackle is really what helps him. That Yates is actually a better fit inside. He's been playing guard and right tackle because of his length. He's not as long as Doug is. And a lot of times those big, long guys, you can get them moving. Those DNs just struggle with him because he's 320 pounds and he's athletic and he's long. And, he played tackle early on at that other school down there and did a good job. And then we needed him at guard, and he did a great job at guard. And, and that's what I sell these guys on is, like, he can play center. Like, he could go in, played a bunch of center in the spring. And, he's selling himself as a guy that's a fifth-year senior that's going to be an all-conference player at tackle, and he's been an all-conference player at guard, and and he'll be able to play center. So he's selling himself to the next level as that.
How's the Yates-Hubbard battle going for right
It's
guard?
going. We're grading them every day. They're getting production grades every day. I'm only grading them at the right guard position. Hubbard plays tackle on days when Yates plays guard, and then Hubbard plays guard, and Yates plays center. So we're really trying to build that depth with quality players, not just, second level guys aren't all guys that are second team guys. A lot of the first team guys know a secondary position. But the battles, it's going good. They're getting after it. So, really just being our third day in full pads, they're just really having 3 days of getting hard grades.
Is Tomas pretty locked in at left guard?
Yeah, Tomas is locked in at left guard. There's no doubt. I hadn't really moved him around much. He's playing well at left guard. He's still a young player. Being a redshirt sophomore, he's still a pretty young player, but he could move around. He could play tackle also if I needed him.
Is there any sense of having an experienced offensive line and with the offense, regardless of who's the starter, going to have a more mobile quarterback, that this almost can be a perfect storm to have maybe the best overall season for the offensive line in a while? Because we've also heard from the linemen that it's easier. It makes their life easier when you have a mobile quarterback. Plus,
It's good to have, we call it an eraser. So, like, those two quarterbacks, they can erase some of our mistakes. If all of a sudden you take a bad set and you get beat up field, you got that guy in the backfield that can take off. And the more they do that, the more the D-line has to stay in the rush lanes. They're getting coached to rush your lane, and they don't have as much freedom as they would against a quarterback that's not as mobile, or maybe they can leave A gap open or B gap open, and, he's not going to take off and run like we've had a couple of years, since I've been here. So, yes, it's really nice to have that eraser. So if you do mess up, there's a chance of getting your mistake erased with a guy that can step up and make a play.
Fair to say that Yates would be sort of the top backup all across the line if he's not starting?
I haven't been working him at tackle much. Now, he obviously started there for 2 years at tackle. I've been working Malone has been doing a phenomenal job at both tackles, and working, being able to work Yates at the center and the right guard spot, being able to work Hubbard at the right tackle, right guard spot. We're just, first year in a long time, I've been able to have multiple good players and be able to move them around and play several different positions with them. So, yeah, he's definitely inside-wise, can play those three spots, and Malone is doing a really good job at both tackles.
These players coming and going, you've been pretty successful at keeping your group together.
Yes, sir.
What's been the secret?
Well, having 3 guys from West Virginia is big. 3 really, really good players that love the state and love the people of the state and aren't just looking to jump on the next bus or the highest bidder. It's nice to have those guys. And they're a tight-knit group. They care for each other. And they got a brotherhood and they, it's you build that and they hold each other accountable. So it's not quite as easy just to jump on the next train or the next offer or whatever that they got. Because I'm sure, the world the way it is now, I'm sure they all got phone calls in the off season and offers and stuff like that. And, the Country Roads Trust is doing a great job with NIL. That really, really helps. I mean, that's huge for those. I mean, we're competitive now, that's different now than what it was in the past. So, those things are really big.
How would you describe this group as a whole?
The brotherhood. They're a brotherhood. They're gonna play hard together. They're gonna hang out together. They're gonna fight together. They're gonna have fun together. They enjoy being around each other. And if you mess with one of them, you're fixing to get all of them. And that's the mentality that we try to that we play with, and that's the mentality that they work with. They're accountable. They work hard. I'm not saying they're not going to make mistakes. I'm not saying that they're not going to get beat. I mean, that's going to happen sometimes, but they pick each other up. And, if 2 guys are competing for a spot, they're cheering for each other. They really care about each other. And that's what I've been working to build here over the past 4 years. And last year we were average, a little above average probably on the O-line. But this year we got a chance to be great. And, we got to keep pushing them. We can't tell them they're great right now. We got to keep pushing them, and we got things we got to get better at.
Are your demands different with this group, with the expectations you have for them?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's expected. It's not just, hey, we should. It's expected. We if we're going to double team the 3 technique, we expect movement. We don't hope for it like we've done in the past. We expect them to do things the right way, and we expect them to win by one-on-one battles. We expect all 5 of them to win one-on-one battles. So that's come a long way since my first couple of years here. It's come a long way.
Your redshirt freshmen, Weedman and Hamilton and all those guys. So just give me your analysis on where they are. Could some of them give you help if you have to?
I really need Sully to come along because he's got the body. He's a big guy. He's 320. He's 6'4.5". He's got pretty good feet. He's just, he's got to come along and keep playing in good body position and just get more reps. Mo Hamilton is a super twitchy kid. He's probably a little further behind as far as knowing what to do and the way I want it done, but he's showing strides. Landon Livingston is coming along at center, doing a really good job at center. And Charlie is a super smart football intelligence guy. He can play all 5 positions right now. He can snap and play right and left side, and he's got to continue to get stronger. So those guys are developing, and you got that's what you got to do here. You got to get these guys, and you got to develop them. You got to get them reps. You got to teach them. I really fired up about my young guys. Johnny Williams, that was here in the spring. Johnny's having a really good camp. He's continuing to develop his body. Johnny's one of those guys, his last couple of years of high school, they tore down the weight room and didn't rebuild it, and he didn't have a weight room. Now his body has really changed. I mean, he's almost 6'7", he's 310 pounds, and he's, just turned 18 years old. So he's got a chance to really be a special player. And, Nick Cray, super athletic kid, played his senior year at like 245, and now he's 297, holding 297. He was a all-conference basketball player. He's a really good track guy through the shot and disc. He's got a lot of athleticism, and seeing what he can do naturally has really got us fired up and excited. And Cooper Young, that kid's got great body control. He was a baseball player too, so he's a 2-sport guy. He hit a bunch of home runs, athletic. Really, he doesn't look like what he is. You see him move around, you're like, wow, that kid's really got some athletic movement. So I'm really excited about those 3 guys. So I feel good about the future. Of course, I've only got 2 seniors. I know we talk about how many snaps we got, but I got 2 seniors. So, if we can, like you're saying, keep everybody here and continue to build this thing, I feel like we're going in the right direction.
Can this group be better than good and be dominant?
They can, yes. There's no doubt. They can be dominant, and it's I think they've got that. I feel like they've got that mentality, but it's always you feel like you got that mentality, but you got to go up there against a top 3 defense in the nation game 1. I mean, there's no better way to find out if you're going to be dominant or not. You got to go play those guys, and they're extremely athletic, they're extremely fast, they're extremely strong. I mean, they're a top 3 or 4 defense in the nation, and so that's we're going to test it early, and we're going to see if we are what we say we are.
Is there any sense for you, maybe just looking out and watching other groups and where people are ranking, that maybe even this group is underrated nationally?
No, I don't. I pay no attention to any. You know what I'm saying? I don't.
Yeah.
I'm an O-line guy. I don't really look at. Hey, did we win? Did we lose? I don't. I know there's stuff out there about us being ranked. You know,
people
but
do rank the offensive
yeah,
line.
I don't. I think you asking me my opinion?
Yeah, your
my opinion is we're as good as anybody in the country. That's my opinion. I put them up against anybody as far as the mentality, the athleticism, the length, the size. You know, now we got to go do it. So that's how I feel about them.
Next step for Zach and for Wyatt, they played a lot, been very good. What do you want them to?
Frazier's got to continue to work on his knockback. You know, he's really good with his hands. He's really good at manipulating people with torquing because he's got all that wrestler in him, and he's survived on that. But he's got it to be, you know, where we want him to be from at the end of the season to have a chance to reach the goals that he's got. He's got to start knocking people backwards, and he's got to start getting vertical movement off the ball, and he's got to be able to handle one-on-one pass pro versus nose guards all by himself. And we're you know, that's what we're working on, is his knockback and his one-on-one pass pro. And with Wyatt's just got to continue to grow. He's not blessed with Zach's strength. So that's something in the offseason that he's really worked hard at, is changing his body and getting stronger. He's lived off athleticism, and now he's got to put those together. And you know, he's gotten way better at his hands, at his striking on his pass pro, and his run game, just playing with better pad level, and you know, just being super aggressive in the run game. He's got some really, really nice footwork and explosion and power in his lower half. We got to continue to work the upper half.
Not having Zach for the spring maybe put you ahead in the area of having a backup center and feeling better about that?
No doubt. It showed me that Brandon Yates can be a starting center. He can be, and it really showed me that, hey, he's a good inside player. Because when I moved him inside, I mean, he did some things and started playing with some physicality that he didn't when he was on the edge, because he was always worried about getting run around. So I felt like it did. I mean, I feel like, you know, I don't think there's anything wrong with, you know, you go to these NFL practices and they have these vet days where they take their best players out for a day, and how are we going to make this thing work without him? You know, because that's what the season's like sometimes. It's like, oh, well, first five's great. Well, I got one down. How are we going to make this thing work? So we'll start doing that as we go through fall. We'll start pulling some guys out here and there and learning how to adjust without them.
Since you've been here, has that always been your biggest fear or concern, is that second snapper?
Oh yeah, no doubt. That's why, like I said, I got Zach, I got Yates, I got Doug. All three of them are good football players. All three of those guys can start at center. They all know the position. Doug's got a ton of reps in the spring at it. Yates is getting every other day reps at it. So it's not like, oh gosh, I got to go with a redshirt freshman if he gets hurt. We got answers. We can move people around, and we've been working really hard at that to make sure we're getting
Most answers you've had since you've been here in that respect?
Oh yeah. I mean, for a while, I played with 4 linemen
Scramble mode.
several times. You know, so it's definitely getting to where we want it to be. It's just don't always have the patience that you want, but it's what it is.
When you talk about the 3 in-state guys are probably your 3 best players, and you talked about the pride they have playing here, how does that trickle down to the rest of the room when your 3 best players all kind of have that mentality about this place?
Oh, it shapes the whole room. I mean, you talk about Frazier and Doug and Wyatt and those 3 guys and the pride they have about playing here. I mean, everybody else, they're the hardest workers in the weight room. You know, you look at Tomas, you know, he's just jumped into that mold with them. Yates has jumped in that mold with them. Hubbard, Malone's from here, from Morgantown. So really, I got 4 guys, and Malone's developed himself into a really good player. So having those core guys in my room that work really, really hard, that do things right, that are accountable, that they're always going to be where they're supposed to be, and they're always going to give you the most effort they can. Everybody else in the room, the young guys that walk in the room, even though they may not be from here, they say that's how you're supposed to do things. And that's how you build a room, is you get guys all pulling the same direction.
Why is it offensive linemen get married earlier than others?
I don't know. I don't know if it's just a comfort level. I don't know. I mean, maybe they know they're smart enough to understand what they got. You know what I mean? And but it's a maturity level with those guys. You know, they're mature dudes, and they you know, they know what they want, and then they grab it when they got an opportunity. You know.
Selfishly, they're going to eat well and they're going to get to bed early on Friday
Oh
night.
yeah, I got no problem with an old lineman. He goes home and watches the news and eats supper and then goes to bed. That's awesome. That's better than walking up down High Street. You know what I mean?
Did the wives call? You used to have to worry about parents calling you and asking why their kid wasn't playing. Did the wives call now?
I've had no wives calls yet. We'll see how the season goes. I may get some calls from wives.
Matt, how close is Bryce Biggs to being a contributor? Is he working multiple spots?
Bryce is working at left guard behind Tomas, and Bryce is really improving. He's done a phenomenal job improving his body. He's a bit of a late bloomer. You know, he played tight end and played quarterback when he was younger. Didn't play O-line, I think, until his last 2 years of high school. And it's really starting to click for him. He's had a really good – he's showing that he can go in and maybe be a guy that can get us out of a game. So I'm really proud of how hard he's working and how he's developing his body and developing as a player and starting to understand, you know, how to play the game.
Anything else for Coach Moore?
One more. You mentioned left guard for him. Are you more interested left, right, or guard tackle? How do you train him?
Well, you know, like a guy like Yates, because he played so much at left tackle early on in his career, he can bump left and right. He doesn't have a problem. I usually train them left and right first, and then once I feel like they're under, you know, I'm talking about like I train them like left guard, left tackle first, if they're long enough, and if they're not long enough, it's when you got to move them across the ball. You know what I mean? If they got the length, like Tomas, he could play left tackle. I hadn't moved him there yet, but he could easily. I mean, he can run. He could easily bump out there to the left tackle spot. But the good thing is I got Malone over there, and you know Wyatt caught a cramp today. Malone jumped in, finished practice with the first group, and we didn't miss a beat at left tackle. So he's really proud of how he's developing, and excited about what he's going to be able to, how he's going to be able to help us.
Okay, anything else? All right.
All right, guys, appreciate y'all.